Hey guys, Jordan here, and today's review is on the Marvel Legends Lord of Asgard Thor. This Thor figure came out in the Blob series. He came with the right leg of Blob. You can see that there. Just very fat and gross looking. But there are some things that I like about this figure and some things I don't like. Like, if there were some minor changes on it, he'd definitely be one of my favorites. He's a larger figure compared to many of the other Marvel Legends figures. So for a little size comparison, here he is next to Pyro, who's just like a standard 6-inch Marvel Legends guy. So you can see Thor towers over Pyro. He's much broader, much taller. So Thor is a very solid figure. And also the way Thor is detailed, I like quite a bit. I do like his cape and everything. The cape with the Lord of Asgard thing. Every good lord needs a nice furry cape. It's very malleable here. You can bend it easily. It's got this fur stuff up top. Not a whole lot of detail in this fur, but it's sculpted very nicely. I think it looks good. The hair over here. It's got some darker spots in it where they did the paint apps, and I think that looks pretty nice in the hair. And also just having a bearded Thor makes him look even more manly. And the helmet is nice too. The cape is actually removable. You can see there are peg holes there where the cape comes out, and you can take it off if you'd like. The helmet is not. The helmet is sculpted on, and Lord of Asgard Thor comes with this hammer, which is kind of blockier than some of the other hammers that other Thors come with. No inscriptions on it, just kind of this gray, almost white, just layer of paint on it, but it's textured very well. Looks very much like stone, and the handle is alright. He's got this big loop, bigger than most of the others there, that he can stick his hand through. So yeah. I do like the hammer that it came with. I think some of the other hammers are a little better just because of the detail on the head of the hammer, but it's pretty good. I do like his armor here. You can see the scales on the chest. He's got his plates here, painted silver on the blue, his gold belt. There's not a whole lot of shading or anything, but with this figure, I'm not too upset about that. The lack of shading doesn't make it look too bad or anything. I think it still looks very nice. But one thing that does bug me about this figure is the articulation. It's decent. You can't really move the head much at all. Like, all this hair gets in the way. So the hair is very stiff, very solid. So it's just going to be there. So it's very hard to get him to look any other direction than just straight ahead like this. Like, you can't really even move it up and down. So that really bugs me. The arms can only lift a little bit because of the shoulder pads in here. So that's about as far as they can lift. They can go down though. There's no bicep rotation, which I don't like. I wish there was bicep rotation here. It's just a single jointed elbow. So he's left with this weird like spike on his arm here when you bend his arm. So that's another thing that I don't really like. I've gotten used to the double jointed elbows and double jointed knees. His wrist does rotate here, and it also rotates in the elbow, but you can see the wrist rotates on the side of the bands. I like how they hid that point of articulation with his wristbands here, so that's cool. He's got an ab crunch, which is more like the DC Universe Classics ab crunch, just in that middle there. So you can move him there, and he rotates at the waist. Then you can go 360 with the legs, you know, back a little bit, forward a little bit. Just standard joint there, and then his knees are double jointed, so that's nice. Mine is pretty stiff, but you can get him to bend pretty well, like with all the double jointed knees, so that's nice. And that joint in the front is hidden pretty well by this kind of goofy looking knee pad here from his boots, but I think it fits with the rest of the costume, so I don't really mind that. And then the ankles can go 360 up and down. But with the arms and stuff, he's kind of hard for me to balance, at least. Like, kind of have to mess around with him a little bit. I think a lot of the cape throws him off. Just makes him kind of lean backwards a little bit. But you can't get him to stand up. So it's really just the head that bothers me the most, that you can't really move the head. Like, I'd like him to be able to look up a little bit more. But since he's a bigger figure, when you're posing him and stuff, he's going to be looking down most of the time on other figures. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty good guy. I think it's an accurate representation of the Lord of Asgard Thor. If you're a Thor fan, then you're probably familiar with this interpretation of the character. I think it turned out very nicely. And overall, I'm very pleased with this figure, despite all my complaining. But yeah, if you have a chance to pick him up for a reasonable price, then I'd say go for it. And also, since he comes with the part of the Blob, I mean, you need the right leg to complete the Blob Build-A-Figure, so you might as well pick him up, and he's not a bad figure. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe.